Well, one of my worst nightmares has just happened. It's 4 a.m. I'm at the airport here. Haven't slept yet at all. So that's why my eyes are probably looking pretty dark. I'm absolutely wrecked. Yeah, I've been up here for Cairns at the Build Your Empire event, which has been absolutely amazing. I wanted to send Mikayla up. Obviously, we both couldn't come up, unfortunately. We can't leave all the gear and the dog and all that down in Tweed Heads where we were. So Mikayla she gets very anxious traveling and traveling by herself. So I've been up and she's been all good, and she's been using a push bike and going around and going to the gym and having a great time. But last night, like 11 o'clock, I just sort of got home and I'd gone to sleep, and the hotel phone rang, which scared the hell out of me. And then I saw I had like 7 missed calls on my phone, and as the motel phone was ringing, my mobile was still ringing as well, and it was Mikayla. And instantly I'm just like, what's happened? Like, what has happened? And she answered the phone just bawling her eyes out, and just you could tell how scared she was. Someone's come past on the front of the caravan, and she could hear this noise, and her and Georgia, someone was there, and then someone's come right at the front door. Come right in the front door where her mountain bike was, and has stolen her mountain bike. Which sucks, which absolutely sucks. But it was more so that someone was right there. She was by herself, and of course, like that's scary. Like, that is scary. It's like someone coming to your bedroom window when you're home asleep by yourself. Like, it's absolutely horrible. But for me to be up here, 1500 k's away, and just that feeling of just like, I couldn't do anything. Like, I just couldn't. I couldn't do anything. I rang the local police station in Tweed Heads because they're in New South Wales. They can't go a kilometre over the border and do anything. The Coolangatta police station, that was closed. So I rang 000 and put a call in, and just because Mikayla was just a mess, and I couldn't get about the bike. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. My bike I've had for 10 years, and Mikayla's is, $3.5 grand's worth of bike's gone, but that's the absolute last thing. We probably won't get him back. There's a very good chance we won't get him back. That's fine. It's just a part of it. They weren't locked up. They were locked up when I left. Mikayla got them off to use it and that, and I thought the area around there was great. Like, it's just really chill, but the places we've been with the motorbike and that, we've never had an issue of anything getting stolen. And here we are, only a week into our travels and having our mountain bikes, and they're gone. But yeah, that's a lesson. She had it right at the front door just so she could hear anything if someone come past, and that's exactly what she did. But it was too late. As I was on the phone with her, she went outside with Georgia while I was on the phone, and then when she first went outside, my bike was still there, and then the second time she's gone out, my bike was gone. So as I was on the phone with her, inside there, they'd come back, cut the tie down points and that off my mountain bike, and stole that as well. So that was gone as well, which it sucks. I just wish I was there to do something about it, and it's absolutely killing. I was meant to be flying out at about 1 o'clock today, so I just instantly I was on the phone for Qantas for like 2.5 hours trying to get through, and come straight to the airport, and I'm jumping on the 6 a.m. flight to get back there. So yeah, hopefully she's got a little bit of sleep, about to get back there and calm the situation, and at least she's all good, and everything will be fine.
If you're wondering why I look the way I do, is because I have not slept at all last night. So I got off the phone with Josh, finished watching a movie. It was probably turned off the TV about 10:30 last night. I heard this noise at the front of the van, and I was like, oh, what is that? Like, there's lots of birds around and whatnot. So I thought, oh, it's probably just a bird, or and my bike was just near the door. I thought, oh, maybe like something's come past and knocked it over. And just in that split second, I was like, oh no, I know what's happened. I think someone's stealing our bikes. So I quickly jumped off, got onto the Red Vision, turned on the awning light, and I sort of just looked out the window, couldn't see my bike, so I went outside, my bike wasn't there. I was like, oh my god, my bike is gone. I looked under the van, I'm like, maybe it's fallen. Can't fall and slide under the van, so looking for it, wasn't there. Could see out the front of the van that I could see his tyre was still there, so I'm like, oh okay, obviously because his bike was tied down, they wouldn't be able to get that off. So I came back inside in hysterics, rang Josh, someone's stolen my bike, like and finally I had my own bike. So while I was on the phone to him, I went back outside to check on his, and then his was gone. So while I've been on the phone to him, they've come back and taken his bike, or they could have still been out there when I was there, so that just freaked me out even more. And so Josh got onto the police, and the police came about, it wasn't until like about 12:45 I reckon. So the police came, gave them a rundown what happened. Because they were there, I felt safer like to go outside, and I had a better look, and they'd actually slashed his tie downs. So Josh was pretty pissed off about that, and his good KTM tie downs and his good KTM bike that he'd literally just done up. So just big night, very stressful, a little bit traumatizing for me, you know, being here by myself and with Georgia, like, you know, makes me feel a bit safer. But after the police came, I did get a little bit of sleep, but yeah, it's just not what I expected. You know, we've gone around Australia with the motorbike for a whole year and no one even attempted to even touch it, but our first week of having back on the road and having our mountain bikes, they're gone in the first week, gone. Yeah, so that was just a bit but what do? You gotta live and learn. Very expensive mistake on our behalf, but hopefully we'll be able to, the police said they know, you know, where they need to go and look, so hopefully you know, we'll hear a bit more today and find out if we can get our bikes back. If not, we'll just have to buy some more, but it's what it is. And Josh, bless him, I love him so much. He just does absolutely anything and everything for Georgia and I, and he was meant to fly back at midday today, but he was on the phone all night trying to get through to Qantas, so he hasn't slept at all either, and he got on an earlier flight. They swapped it all for him, so he got on the 6 a.m. flight and he's driving back from Brisbane now. So not only did he have to fly 2.5 hours, he now has to drive an hour and a half back, because this is the only place we could get into here. As ironic as it sounds, Josh didn't want to leave me. He wanted to find like a safe caravan park, you know, make sure nothing happened. And anyway, weren't to know what was going to happen. But Josh's dad is staying right around the corner from us, so he came and checked on me this morning, and my parents are always up really early, so I've been on the phone to mum since like 4 a.m. and yeah, been good. We have a good support system, so feeling okay now, but can't wait for Josh to get back.
Alright guys, g'day. We're actually currently sitting here in a gravel pit. We've never really done this before, just sitting on the bed and just
Having a chat
and just shooting a story. But that was a little bit of a insight to some raw emotions
after it happened.
After the situation that went down. This happened a month and a half ago now, probably?
Yeah,
about a month and a half ago this happened. If you followed us across our social media, you would have seen a little bit of this. We actually went to social media for a bit of help, which we'll explain shortly. And look, this is just something we sort of... So I feel like we had to sort of tell people, again, everything we do on this YouTube channel is just showing our experiences, what we do, what happens. There's no bullshit at all. So, yeah. But I just don't want this to come across as like to scare anyone, or, you know, be like, oh, this is why I don't want to travel, because I knew this stuff would happen or whatever. Like,
if you put the right precautions in place,
yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Like, we stuffed up a bit in this situation. It was avoidable, but it's just the reality of you can get a little bit complacent and a bit lazy with some of your usual techniques you would do, especially when you're out in some dodgy areas. Like, oh, I need to lock my stuff up and do this, and you know, you can sort of forget it a little bit. And look, we just wanted to be, again, just sharing our experience. It happened. There's no hiding from that. It was pretty full on, and also we're not coming from like a like bragging or like, hey, look at us sort of thing. This is just what happened. No cameras, or like this. The situation happened. We're just sort of here to share what happened, because once we sort of put out on socials, everyone wanted to know what the hell happened, and it turned out to be a pretty good outcome.
Yeah.
In the end. So look, you've sort of seen a bit of the backstory of what what sort of happened. Again,
Initially?
yeah, I was up in Cairns, away from Mikayla. That was probably the worst part. And look, the way Mikayla was sort of speaking, that was, she probably sounded too happy to be like, what do you mean the situation's bad? But
I think I was delirious because I hadn't had any sleep that night.
You were relieved though, because it was kind of...
I think I was relieved because you were so close to being back. You were only you were already in the car, you're off the plane, in the car on your way back.
Yeah.
You were only like 20 minutes, half an hour away.
But that situation of me being, 2,000 Ks away and
that was
getting that phone call, like, Mikayla was a mess. Like, an absolute mess. And it was just heartbreaking. For me as a man, like, it was just... It was horrible. It's probably the worst thing we've...
The thing that scared me the most is that my bike was right near the door. And they came right near the door.
Yeah, it's not nice. It's just like someone creeping your bedroom windows sort of thing. Or look, end of the day, the mountain bikes, we couldn't give a shit about. Like, when Mikayla rang us on a bike, someone didn't, like, that doesn't matter.
I cared more that his bike was gone.
The bikes didn't matter at all. Like, that did not, it was just the raw situation of oh, Georgia just walked under the camera there. The raw situation of what happened was just very disturbing and not nice. And look, this probably won't be everyone's situation. You're probably going to be with your partner or whatever. Like, just it had to happen when I was at the top of Australia and Mikayla was down in Tweed.
I think also because the car wasn't there, they were probably lurking around for a couple of days, looking around what's available to grab.
Not really.
Or there hasn't been a car there for a couple of days. Let's take these bikes.
But look, this stuff happens. It's the reality of it. And look, so yeah, I was away. A bit of a backstory up in an event. I think we sort of covered most of the sort of things of what happened. Initial sort of situation what happened. Look, lesson learnt. Like, my bikes were tied down. They were all locked up before I left. Yeah. Mikayla took hers off and that she was riding around, whatever. We saw a tweet the last time we were there. It was just a nice surfy town, like, chill, and you sort of think you could, you can leave your shoes out the front and leave us, some beers or a barbecue or whatever. But again, it was a lesson. We got complacent and just she'll be right sort of thing. And look, the locks should have been on there. Yeah. We have bike locks. We have the Kovics locks.
So many locks from the motorbike. And they're all with us. We still have them all.
They're in the cupboard. If they were on, this whole situation would have been avoided. So that's the moral that it could have been avoided, but it didn't. It happened. And look, we actually have a discount code for Kovics. We give bloody 50. We give out all that commission to charity. It's like one of the things we're going about. Keep your stuff safe. This situation didn't have it on. And this happened. Very, very, big lesson learned. So anyway, I didn't sleep the whole night. I come back home, back to the plane. Yeah, back to the caravan park, and look, just making sure everyone was okay, whatever. I was wrecked, drained, and just whatever. So we just, what sort of happened from there?
Well, we kind of got to the drawing board once Josh came back, and we, had a look around. A lot of people said to look on like Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree, like for the bikes for sale. So we were kind of searching.
Yeah, rang the cash converters and
Josh got a hold of like all the local pawn shops.
Just the basics. Looking on eBay, Gumtree, buy, swap, sell. Like, we did the basics what we could do. Like, just we didn't want to. At the same time, like, we didn't want to spend 4 days looking for this stuff. And the end of the day is this mountain bikes. It sucks, but we can replace them, whatever. That wasn't the biggest thing. So I did end up going for a bit of a look around. Like, I drove around the car, went to I assume like it has to be kids, like young kids, whatever, stealing bikes, whatever. So I was like going to the skate park and driving around looking for it. I was even there's a couple of sort of dodgy looking people in the caravan park. I was even sort of
sussing them out.
Sussing them out. So but yeah, look, we want to sort of, because we got the bikes back. Yes. We got the mountain bikes back. So that's sort of what we're here to... So this
is the story to tell you.
The story to explain
how we got our bikes back.
How that happened. The best we can. We can't go into full details. That's probably a story for if we know you and we have a beer around the fire. You might get the full scoop. But again, end of the day, we just wanted to explain sort of what happened. So yeah, we did a bit of search around, whatever. Suss it. There's some sus people in the camera. Like, what if it's an inside job? Like, you sort of start putting your investigator's hat on and
feelers out there,
sussing some people out. But
it got to our last day at the caravan park. We were leaving the next morning, and the reception rang and said, "Oh, can you come and fill out an incident report of what happened, just so it can be on their records and they can pass them to police, whatnot, all that." So we went up to reception and she had a sticky note.
Yeah, because we had a couple we'll do it later in the afternoon sort of thing. We rolled in there, then she's like, she had a sticky note. She's like, someone's rang up and here's this guy's phone number, here's this guy's full name, and he was on a KTM bike, and had some other ones or whatever, and they were stolen from the caravan park. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, the KTM bike, that's my bike. And she's
But
like,
obviously she wasn't to know because that night 6 bikes were stolen
yeah,
from the caravan
four
park,
other caravans got done as well. So
Yeah.
a few, there must have been a group of them. I'm not sure. I would imagine. But yeah, so all of a sudden, from not really caring about the bikes or whatever, she literally had the sticky note with the person that rang up, because this person that rang up, he actually knew the guy, and he was down the street, and he's like, oh, hey, Keith was his name. I won't say his last name, even though I feel horrible trying to protect the bloody person, but his name was Keith, and he's like, this guy knew him. He's like, oh, that's a bit of a flash bike for you, Keith. And he's like, yeah, I stole them from the caravan park down the road, and they're at Fred's place, which is the homeless shelter there. So in Tweed. So and I'm like, and he's just like, oh, so he's decided, like, oh, you know, he's really well known, pretty dirty, doing bad stuff, whatever. So he's decided to dob him in. It's kind of like, he's acting not acceptable, so he's dobbed him in. So he's rang the police and that. The police weren't that helpful. They didn't really. They end up ringing the caravan park, so they had the information. She's like,
so
yeah,
that was the sticky note.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, the bikes are here. This is his guy's name. It's the guy that rang up. I was like, she's like, go pick him up. I'm like,
instantly Josh
what?
was just like in go mode.
I'm like, what do you mean? Like, once I sort of had this guy's name, the details, where their arms, like, I can't, like, all of a sudden the bikes mattered, because I'm like, I'm going to know who this person is. I got his name.
The location.
And I'm about to catch up with him. And I was like, we're on.
It just felt so close.
We're on. So it was just, yeah, this was about 9:30 in the morning when this sort of happened. Yeah. And yeah, I was just like, set myself a goal, and I'm like, I'm going to get the bike. So yeah, and so we went down there to the place and went in there. Apparently he was there like half an hour ago, so I just missed him. Went in there, sort of just looked through the place. I'm like, look, this guy was here.
The volunteers were good, like they knew.
Yeah, like this guy.
I wasn't allowed to come. I had to stay in the van.
No, so. I didn't know how it was going to go down, but I just sort of said, like, look, yeah, this guy here, he's had my bike, whatever. Oh, the KTM bike. Yeah. Everyone knew about this KTM bike. Yeah. Pink handle grips and Mikayla's bike. Yeah, that was here too. Yeah. Half an hour ago, Keith. Yeah, I'm like, what? Where is he? Like, they're my bikes. I'm not leaving until I get him. Where the hell is he? Sort of thing. There's all cameras everywhere. I'm like, this guy's on cameras. The bike's at the front. Like, what are we doing? Sort of thing. Like, obviously, it's not their responsibility. That's just where they go and, you know, maybe sleep or get food and stuff like that.
I think so they don't loiter during the day. Like, they don't sleep there. It's just somewhere for them to hang out during the day.
Yeah, but he was bragging about his bikes and steals them all the time, whatever. Didn't get much help there. A couple of guys said, like, hey, he usually hangs out here, whatever. He's a pretty hard guy to find, but go here, all that sort of stuff. So I'm like, all right. So I ended up going to the police station, reported it again. Just sort of goes on a piece of paper.
And it's so hard to know which police to deal with, because
that was a mess. Yeah.
You're on the border, like, is this bloke in Queensland? Is this bloke in New South Wales? Like,
yeah, and I didn't know that because we're not from there. So when I rang up initially about Mikayla, I'm like, telling the story. I'm like, look, she's in the caravan by herself. She's scared shitless. Like, all this, like, you know, as soon as it's over the border, oh, sorry, I can't do nothing. I'm like, well, mate, like, she's 500 meters over the border. Like, what do you mean? He's
we
like,
are from a border town, and
it doesn't work like that. Kinda.
I guess because maybe it's more of a small country town. Like, they are helpful. There's only so much, obviously, that they can do, but they're still helpful.
So I get they got their guy. Like, what? It's just like a straight out, like, yeah, sorry, mate, nothing. I'm just like, what? Like, so I rang the Queensland side. It was closed. Couldn't get through. It was pretty horrible. So yeah, I went and reported again. The guy was a bit better, but again, so it's like, yeah, we might go have a look, sort of thing. And to the end of that, bikes get stolen all the time. So Kiwi's probably, whatever. So yeah, I went and did that again, and then I started just driving around. Just started driving around, looking at all the spots, and really sort of quickly noticed that there's a lot of that caliber sort of people around that area. It was a really big eye opener. Once you start talking to so many people, they were like, no, it's gotten really bad and all this stuff. And
they reckon the whole Gold Coast is
it was pretty disappointing. Awful. It was pretty disappointing. We always put that place as that's still really, really nice places. But once it sort of got deep into that world, it was pretty eye-opening. So started looking around, and I was like, look, I'm starting to run out of ideas. It's about sort of like midday, and put it out on social media and just said, hey, like, this is what's happened. Like, our bikes are here. We got these names, this. And then all of a sudden, like, within half an hour, it's like, boom, this is the guy, here's his Facebook page, here's a photo of him.
Someone sent through a photo of him from his Facebook.
I know where he hangs out, this is where he would be, check this place. We had all this information within, like, half an hour. So I just kept driving around. I was there looking. went back to the shelter there, and I just sort of, just no one was really like helping me out, whatever. I sort of offered a little bit of a incentive to get some sort of information, and then everyone started talking. I know where he is. I'll call him now. I'll take you to his house. And they were all ringing him, and like everyone knew him.
I know Keith.
Everyone knew him all of a sudden. And look, I was there. They're gonna help me. I'll help them out. Like
they're people in need.
To me, there's good and bad people in need. Yeah. Like, look, I don't want to get into this at all, but like, look, to me, the people that work hard for their stuff, whatever, there's no excuses for stuff to be stolen, whatever. Yeah. Like, you're in control of your situation. Like, some more than others, whatever. I get it. There is genuine people, and there's people that are just, you know, I don't find it acceptable. That's just that's just me. So, you know, desperate times, whatever. But this guy, from what I found out, he's all the time repeat offender. Doing it for years.
To help himself.
Not nice people. Yeah. So, so I ended up putting this lady in my car, which I had to sort of gain some trust before I did that. And she took me down to this abandoned building there, the most Compton style thing I've ever drove into. And I'm by myself with this lady, and she started freaking out because there's people in there that she owed money to, or they owed her money or something, and she starts freaking out. She's like, I can't be. I'm like, oh, what the hell? Like what is this? Like, should I be going in here, sort of thing? And she started freaking out, and so I'm like, look, I don't want to put you in harm's way, whatever. I know where the place is now, but she's like, I want my money. And then I'm like, look, I'm going to help you guys out. You got me the location. Took her back. She went inside, and we're making this a pretty long story short. I don't want us to go on way too long.
But you need the details to understand.
Yeah, so we went back to the shelter. Her boyfriend was inside. He come out. He's a pretty crazy looking dude, but a nice guy. So she's like, you know, hey, this guy's he needs help, sort of thing. And look, he knew who the guy was, whatever. Told him about the situation. She's like, nah, you know, this
guy also wasn't a fan of Keith.
Yeah, he did. No one's a fan of Keith.
No one really likes Keith.
No one really likes Keith at all.
Must be a bit of a troublemaker.
Yeah, so he ended up, right, he's like, oh, you probably don't trust me to go in your car. And I'm like, yeah, not really. And so he's got on his mountain bike, rode down back to the place there, and, you know, because I think he's blokes are scared of him or something, sort of thing. So I've gone in there with him, and, like, this is, like, full, like, smashed windows, like, sheets over, like, feral. Like, bloody, and there's just stolen everywhere, all through these places there. We're sort of going through it. He wasn't there. That's where he sleeps every night, this place. He wasn't there because he's like, nah, man. He's like, there was 7 mountain bikes in there last night. I saw him in there. I know that they're in that shed. That's where they are. That's where he lives. They're in that shed. So I'm like, let's go get him. And went into this little back room there. And he's like, that's my daughter's bloody bike, the bastard. So they kind of knocked off his daughter's bike. It's sitting in the shopping trolley there. But they went to this shed there. It was locked at the front, but all the sides were like smashed glass and like smashed timber and stuff. So I sort of got desperate and just sort of made my way sort of through a little back entrance, we'll call it, and just had a bit of a look, and the bikes weren't there. So he's like, nah, they're out on the street somewhere with them. So I'm like, damn. So hit a bit of a hole again. So I'm like, look, I went this guy back. I'm like, look, I went back to saw Mikayla at the van. I'm like, I'm close. Like, I'm getting information. I'm like,
felt so close.
Gonna go get these guys some money. I went and got them $200 because they were nice people.
Hadn't eaten for days.
They were nice people, whatever. Yeah. So I went and hooked them up. They were absolutely stoked. So that was kind of cool. But they helped me out. So from there.
Well, while you were out and about, I got onto like the local buy swap sell pages, and I just said, look, where do homeless people sort of hang out throughout the day? And they gave me so many locations. So after Josh came back and he was sort of, you know, I'm close, but I'm not close enough. I gave him these locations to go. Yeah, so
I just kept driving around, looking at them, kept going. And I started to get desperate. I started going up to because they were everywhere. Like, they're just drunk, fighting with each other. I'm just walking into these groups. I'm like, does anyone know Keith? Like, where is he? Like, I was starting to get sort of desperate. And then, you know, I'm like, he's got my mountain bikes. Oh, the KTM one. I'm like, yes. Like, where?
Everybody knew about this.
Everyone knew about Keith and his KTM bike.
He must have been going around like, hey, this is my KTM, my new
just
bike.
Showing it off, and I'm like, yes, like, where is he? Like, I just want my bike back. I don't care nothing else. Just, he's got it. I want it back. So, just sort of got some leads to kind of, you know, if they get information to let me know, sort of thing, and whatever. And then I ended up seeing this kid on this bike. Yeah, it was a bike. I'm like, that looks like Mikayla's bike. So I've like, I pulled up and I sort of stormed over there and I'm just like, oh, how you going, mate? Like, nice bike sort of thing. And
Sussing the bike.
where you from, mate? And all this. This is down the
chat.
main street, down the street there. And he was sus. He's kind of like, oh, yeah, I'm from Cairns, mate. This. And I'm looking at the bike and, like, it was a Trek, the same as Mikayla's, but, like, it didn't have, hers has pink on it. It didn't have pink on it.
Mine has, like, little bits of
The
pink.
pink grips were gone. I had a bell and a light and like a drink. And I'm like, I'm looking at it, I'm like,
Really different.
damn, that looks like it, but like it's the same model, but I'm like, I don't think it is. Like, it wasn't enough to like just grab this bike off this random kid down the street. And then I'm like, I sort of just left it there. And then as I sort of walked off, this kid's got on the phone. This other guy over here, he's got on the phone. He's walking around with this group of other people, and I'm like, that looks like that Keith guy. He had like his pink hat, pink backpack, had like chains and padlocks across his shoulders, like weird looking dude. And he was on the phone, and I'm like, oh my god, that looks like him. So I got back in the car and he's walked past. And I was like, oh, how you going, Keith? I'm like, do you end up giving those bikes back, mate? And he's like, oh, what do you mean? That's, what are you on about? I'm like, yeah, that's not me, and this. And I'm looking at him like, because the photo I had was from like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm looking at him like,
he had like a ponytail.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, that looks like you, but like, again, I just didn't know. Like, I just not enough to be like, yep, you're the dude, sort of thing. And again, so I just sort of got in the car, drove. I sort of followed him a bit. I sort of sussed him, like, damn, but like, I'm like, okay, that's not him. So I just kept driving around, and then I've gone back to that abandoned building there, and there's a cop car at the front. I'm like, oh, maybe they've gone to check it out. So I pull up, and I'm like, oh, are you guys here for a stolen mountain bike? And they're like, no, we're here for the car crash. And it was like a car. I didn't even say it was like a car crash. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Okay. I'm like, look, my mountain bike's been stolen. Like, it's meant to be the guy that lives here. He's meant to have it. Like, this is a photo of him. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, you give us your phone number. He's like, I'll go get your bike for you. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I reckon I know where it is. I'm like, he didn't really give much. I'm like, okay, like, all right. So I gave him my phone number, photo my license and stuff, and then he drove off. And I'm like, all right. So I just sort of rang Mikayla, and I'm like, he reckons he knows where they are. Like, I think he's gonna go get him. I'm like, this could be it, sort of thing. And then like 15 minutes went by, and the policeman rang me, and he's like, hey man, like, I'm come to the servo. I've got your bike. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? And so I rolled up there, and they've got there. There's my bike, not Mikayla's bike, but there was my bike. It had pink handle grips on it. It had this big, massive
like
basket.
Like the crates that some supermarkets have instead of the cardboard, or they had like this big black mango looking tray.
So they've changed heaps of parts on it. So it's all like bolted on, properly mounted on. I had like 2 drink bottles, had like a bum bag, bloody disgusting thing. Yeah, Mikayla's grips are light.
Oh yeah, my drink bottle holder was on.
Yeah, so they've tried to change the look of it up, but so they wrecked it, like the VIN number's gone and just scratched up and that. But like, I'm like, well, that's my bike. Like, that's it. They didn't tell me where it got it from or whatever, which is fine. I'm like, well, that's it. Like, that's cool. Like, these guys, the cops were awesome. Like, they were really, they didn't even know. They were just really, really helpful. Obviously, it's a pretty known occurrence at this house or whatever. And then as I'm there,
I think the house must have been a friend of this kid.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, what ended up being was on the community page, someone's reached out to Mikayla and was like, hey, this is where your bikes are. Here's his address. Here's my phone number. I've seen him there. And she screenshot that through, and I'm like, what? And what this was actually the guy that gave the caravan park the number.
So the details that we had on the sticky note were,
it matched up. So he's seen the post, and he's like, hey, I'm here to help. And he's reached out, and I'm like, what? So I'm giving him a call, and he gave me the address. He's like, yep, this is this. I'm like, oh, and this actually ended up being the same address that the police just went to, raided the house, and got him. And I'm like, yeah, look, I've got one back. All this, and then I'm like, look, there's still one more. So it was just like a blessing. And this guy's like, so he's like, oh, okay. So he's rang up this Keith guy, and he's kind of like, trying to act like he's wanting to buy it off him. Like, hey, I want the bike, and they're like, oh, we're getting rid of him this week. Like,
tonight.
They're leaving town tonight, and like this Keith guy's freaking out. He's like, man, I'm all over the internet. Like, everyone knows who I am. He's like the guy that's after me. He's like, he's bloody huge. I was talking to him down at the park.
And Josh was like,
and I'm like, what? This is what this guy's told me. So like, the guy that I thought was Keith, and then the guy that had the Trek mountain bike was Mikayla's mountain bike, and that was Keith that I was talking to right in front of me. And I'm like, and he knew that. He's like, man, this guy is
busted me. He's looking for me, and he's been to my house. I call it a house, or my abandoned shelter. And so he knew, he's like, this guy's onto me, and I've started to freak out because everyone knows who he is and all this stuff, and I'm like, he was right there. I'm like, you are joking. And then, so yeah, this guy's rang me back, and he's like, oh, he's given to his mate, whatever. It's at D-Bar Hill. He's ditched in the bushes there. And I'm like, okay, like, this is a guy coming on to like 5:30, so it's starting to get dark.
It gets dark.
I'm like, I'm going to get it then. So I've driven up the D-Bar Hill, and then here I am just looking through bushes and stuff, and I'm like, geez, like, I'm so close, like, it's got to be here,
Right.
like, we'll leave it in the morning. I'm like, I'm so close, like, I can't just leave knowing it's there. And then this guy rocked up, and he's like, you looking for a mountain bike? And I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, I was the guy on the phone to you. So I'm like, okay, so he's come down to give us a hand to look around. So there's, me and these two other blokes looking around everywhere, and just couldn't find him. I'm like, this is getting old, like, it's getting dark. I'm like, just give me this guy's phone number, I'm going to call him. So he's like, oh, okay. So he gave me Keith's phone number, and then I just, put it on private or unnamed or whatever you do.
Yeah.
The private caller, and rang him. He answered. So I sort of did the whole, like, I'm like, oh, how you going, Keith? Like, nice chatting you down at the park there, mate. Sort of thing. And he's kind of go, ooh, like, shouldn't have answered this phone call. And then I was being nice, and I just sort of did the whole, like, sort of tough guy, like, bikey sort of thing, like, sort of like, I'm like, you don't know who I am, sort of thing. Like, how do you think I found you in 2 hours and know everything about you and all this stuff?
I know where you live.
No, I know where you live, and all this sort of stuff. We are not gangsters or badass people.
Just playing on it.
Like, I didn't really know what
Good
approach to
acting
sort of,
skills.
what to take. And he's kind of like, oh, what are you sort of on about? And I was like, mate, like, I know you've done it. I know you've stolen them. Everyone knows about this bike, whatever. Like, I just want them back. Do you want some money? Like, what do you need, mate? I'll buy them back off. You don't care, whatever.
Trying to sweeten him up.
And then he started playing ball. So kind of like, I don't have the bike. I don't know where it is. And
my mate Tommy has it.
Yeah, and just cut the bullshit sort of thing. Mate, just want the bikes back and leave it in the morning. Get it back to me, and happy days. So this took a long time. I'm just like, look, I'm gonna call you back in 10 minutes. Give me this information. Rang back every 10 minutes for like 2 hours. This went on for. So
He was puffing.
Yeah, so I
to walk because he didn't have a bike.
Yeah, so ended up, long story short, ended up made a bit of a deal, like, hey, because he's saying, oh, the mate that he had, he doesn't have a phone, and just making up excuses to the hills. So, long story short, ended up setting up this meet down at...
You let the police know as
Yeah,
well,
down at the public toilets, and this is like, by the time this happened, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Dark.
So
it's pitch black.
Pitch black, and I still had the policeman's phone number, so I actually rang him. I'm like, mate, like, I've got the other bike. Apparently, he's going to get it, bring it to me, hand it over. I'm like, look, it sounds sketchy. Like, I'm by myself. Like, can you just hang around, sort of thing? So he's like, yep. So they come and parked up in the trees there, and I'm there in the patrol, like, parked up in this corner, like the most feral thing I've ever done. And I was just I'm like, I'm not giving up. This bloody bastard, he's so close. The bikes are so close. He's cost me a whole night's sleep. He's cost me, buddy, a full day. I barely had any water. I barely had anything to eat. Like, I was just cooked, and I'm just like,
mentally
I'm not giving up. Like, I'm so close. So, and then again, long story short, he just kept like, oh, I'm coming. You can hear him. He had to walk from the other side of town.
Because he didn't have a bike anymore. So
this went on for a while, and the police are like, man, I reckon he's playing with you. He's not coming. I'm like, oh, you joking? So they're like, oh, we'll go for a bit of a lap around. I'm like, all right. I rang him again, like, mate, you've got 2 minutes, like, get here now, sort of thing. And then, alright, so guys, we're back. We didn't have it on the GoPro and tripod mode, and it's once these things go for a while, they overheat.
It's
so,
hot.
Quick little problem. Anyway, we want to wrap this up. We didn't want to make this video so long. So anyway, at the exciting part, so I'm in the car, and then I ring him one last time, and he's like, I'm here. He's like, the police have got me. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm right behind you. I look behind, and the police have got the lights on, and they've got him there. I'm like, you're joking. So I've gone around the back there, and there he is with no push bike. I'm like, he's played us, like, he's playing me. And then he's just lying to the police, like, now just, had to go. I'm just like, mate, this, and cut the and just, and then the police just sort of, they hammered him, like, they were just like, because they knew everything about it. They've dealt with this guy so many times, they were just sick of his shit. and they're just like, look, you know, you've got an hour, 60 minutes to get the bikes, take them out to the police station, or is he getting arrested for this. You know, what do you say? Yeah, he's like, okay, yeah. So he's like, look, just leave it with us, just go. He'll probably take it. He'll bring him back. I'm like, okay. So sort of drove off, and then I was like, nah. I'm like, I've gone this whole, like, what if he just doesn't care and just walks away and just, you know, because, you know, they get away with a lot of stuff. So I'm like, nah. Come this far, I've just gone back there, and I just hung around. He's in there in the trees looking for this bike with a flashlight, and I just hung around. And I'm there just in the patrol, just following him, He's going through and just putting the pressure on him hard, like just following him through these trees and stuff. And it took like 45 minutes, and then he yells out, he's like, I've got it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like locked up to this pole up there, whatever. And he's like, I need some bolt cutters. And I'm like, okay, he's been up in the bushes there, and this is pitch black. We're the only two people down this foreshore there, like, sketchy. And, yeah, then I ended up just, got something out of the back of the toolbox, threw it over to him from a distance, and he's gone up there. And, yeah, sure enough, he's walking down with his bike. It's still had this big lock around. He's like, oh, you have to get the lock off it. And, like, the seat was, like, some other, like, parts had been changed on it. But, yeah, when I looked at it, I'm like, that's her bike. And, you know, sort of just sussed out the situation, kind of like, you know, is anything damaged sort of thing or whatever, and then, you know, did the exchange, and that was it. Did the exchange, shook hands, and thank you very much, and see you later. So
back to me.
Yeah. So and then I put the bike on the I tried to fit it in the back of the very car, wouldn't fit. Chucked on the roof rack and rang Mikayla. This is like 9:30.
It was so late.
Rang Mikayla. I'm like, I've got it. She's like, what? I'm like, mission complete. I've got the bikes. Like, we're going home, baby. Like, it was so good. Like, it was just such an accomplishment.
It was such a crazy day.
After the day, I'm like, I've got the bikes. Let's go. I'm like, pack up. And she's like, what? I'm like, just the people we had dealt with, like, and a few of the guys up with my phone number, they all knew the caravan park.
And then he was handing out money, so I thought maybe like they're gonna, you know, they think we have money.
Yeah, they
cash
knew
just lying around. They might come in.
Yeah, and just the police are like, you should be right. I was like, nah, it just did. If something happened,
feel right.
It just didn't feel right. So like, we were at the Kira Beach Caravan Park. Like, this had nothing to do with the caravan park. Like, no. So don't, you know. But I think people need to know, because, like, look, just if you are in that area, lock your stuff up. Like, so many people got caught and just not knowing, and these places are targeted. So just look, lock your stuff up, especially around that area. We got caught out. We thought, beach, chill, Gold Coast, you know, didn't know. We're not from there. We just didn't know. But now we've sort of been exposed to it. We didn't realize how bad it was in a lot of areas. So look, we went back, and then the people next to us, they actually followed us on YouTube, so you're probably watching this video. And then these other guys put up, they follow us as well. So Mikayla was there sort of talking to them. They sort of knew the situation stuff.
Yeah, they'd been staying, so they'd moved to near us. They were at a different spot, like in the same caravan park, but had to move sites. Yeah, they're kind of they knew what the park was like. They knew. And
we're packing up, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, we're packing up. And they're kind of like, why? Like, you just sort of told them the situation. I'm like, look, and I was like, don't think we're like gangsters or these horrible people. Like, look, just like, you know, they knew the situation. I was like, look, we're just gonna get out of here. Like, it's just, so it's like literally 9:30 at night. We're hitching up the caravan. All these oldies guys look like, what the hell are these guys doing? Like,
we left.
It was
we left, and we were driving through the night. It was good because the roads were really quiet.
Yeah, hitched up and just went. Like, we're just
got Macca's.
Yeah, we're happy.
Just debriefed about the day. What
situation
happened.
Was done. We're like, you know, whatever. What a lesson learned. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, we sort of
But my bike, they changed the seat on it because obviously it mustn't have been very comfy for old mate.
Yeah.
So it just had like this little kids plastic.
Oh, they changed it up to make it look like it was.
And to make it look.
And it got me because look, it wasn't. It looked different. So yeah. But you know.
But I ended up getting a new seat a couple of days later at Trek in Burleigh.
Yeah, in Burleigh.
So
he was awesome.
To Trek at Burleigh, that they gave us.
Told him what happened and that, and he's got Mikayla brand new Trek seat pole. Went out the back and found some parts.
Jigged it up.
And, absolute legend. So bloody good. But look, that's kind of a wrap up of the story. We got the bikes back. All their forks were scratched, like all the carbon, like the pink's all gone off it. VIN numbers are gone. Like, you know, it sucks. End of that. Look, we didn't. The bikes are replaceable. We didn't care. We got them back. Whatever.
It was just what
We
happened.
freshened up a bit, but like, look, we're not going to be able to sell them down the track. Like,
No.
4 or 5 grand's worth of bikes, but because it looks like we stole them. So, but look, we've got them back. We've been enjoying.
Mum, you're gonna have my bike one day.
Yeah, we've been enjoying them again. But look, that's the situation. Look, if anything to take away from this, it's just like, be cautious. Look, these guys, don't be scared. Like, these guys, I'm sure their intention was never to come and hurt anyone. Like, they weren't here there to hurt Mikayla. But like, look,
I think it just freaked me out the fact that
it's
old
horrible.
mate Keith was still out there when I went outside to check what happened.
Yeah.
And the fact that he did have a knife.
Yeah, because he cut the
'Cause he
straps
cut
and
the
that,
straps,
because he was
so
when
that
Mikayla was
really-
under the awning, he was actually would have been
He
around
would've
this
been-
side of the
yeah.
bin, which is horrible.
Because that's the side where Josh's bike is tied down from. That's
Yeah.
the front of. That's where.
And
the
look,
front
those
of his bike
situations
is.
can escalate. Like, all of a sudden you scare the hell out of him. Like, these
He
people,
could just react.
they're all on drugs. Like, just there's no hiding from that. I got the biggest insight. Once you in this world, there's just that's what they do every night, every morning. Like, just they can do stuff that's out of the blue. Like, it can be scary. So that again, but don't be scared by I'm not going to travel because this happens or stay in caravan parks. Like, look, it's just
Take all the precautions.
Yeah.
Lock your stuff up.
if it was locked up,
If
they
it
would
was
have been like
It
that,
never would have happened. They would have seen the lock and been like, all right, well,
that's too hard. On to the next one. So look
Because
again.
literally the guy who was next to us, he had his bike chained around to the A-frame. And I remember that day I was hanging out some washing and I was looking, I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why would you lock your bike up to your A-frame? Like, it's meant to be nice around here.
Yeah. So yeah.
There you go.
But yeah. Anyway, so that's our story. That's our story.
You've all been waiting to hear it.
So it was a good outcome. We're happy with it. But yeah, again, at the same time, we were, you were traumatized by the situation,
I was
and
really
I was
shaken up.
gutted, heartbroken. Like, it was just the situation, seeing each other in that, it was horrible. And we're away. It's not like you just call mum and dad and they come around and
Oh, well,
or
actually, we
mates
were
and
lucky enough that your dad was there.
he was actually in the area, but
yeah,
phoned
Josh's-
off and he came around.
Yeah, the next morning, Josh's dad came.
Come around the
and saw
next
me,
day,
so-
but it seemed like you got mates there and say, hey, can you go check on her? Like,
Yeah.
we just felt so alone, which was, it was tough and
Yeah.
being so far away. But look, that's our story, guys.
Sorry it went on for so long, but
Sorry.
there's lots that we didn't add in, like
Yeah.
just the basic of
Yeah.
what happened.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And look, take it whatever way you want. Like, it's our story. It's just the way we've never experienced something to that degree, and
Yeah.
whatever. But look, don't let it turn you off or whatever. Just be careful out there. Whatever, lock your valuable stuff up. It's a simple thing. And look, unfortunately, these days, even in your nice areas, you just got to be a bit more careful. So we always lock our tunnel boots now, which we sort of got lazy. Someone can come grab your chainsaw and stuff. So yeah, just be careful. But look,
Lock everything up.
yeah, that's our story. Everyone's okay
We're
now.
all
We
good.
got the bikes
We got
back.
our bikes.
We're happy. Back to some normal episodes. Enough of the gangster stories now. Hope this is the last one we do. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. Thank you to everyone on the socials that reached out to help us. Like, blokes were like, I'm gonna knock off work and come help you.
Yeah.
Like, just it was crazy. Like, so many people just wanted to help us. It was really
Massive,
thankful
massive
for that.
thank you.
Making sure Mikayla's okay, because that was the main thing. So thank you so much to those guys that did that. So anyway, guys, we'll catch you next week.